We were latchkey kids, you know, and they went through what people normally go through in America. Many divorces and rumbles and still fighting it out to try to make this marriage thing work that doesn't work, but people keep trying. And the comedy thing came up in oral interpretation class. You had to get up and say a few words. I borrowed some Dick Gregory material. People laughed and they said, "You should be a comedian." And I said, "Oh." I was a big fan of Dick Gregory, and he had a ton of great stories. He's, you know, up until like the last 10 years of his life, he was solid, you know, and I give him a lot of credit because at that time, and this is in the 60s, he was making 10, 15 grand a week. That's good money now, but in the 60s, that was some serious cash. And he gave that all up for the movement and everything. Being a comic, you just want to get on stage. And people would say, you can work with these Last Poets guys. And I thought they were going to be like Edna St. Vincent Millay and do stuff about trees and roses and stuff like that. These cats, boy, they were out there. They were rough. Stokely was one of these guys that actually could have been like a hedge fund guy. He went to Bronx Science High. He had a whole bunch of academic scholarships to go to Yale and Harvard. Stokely always had that anti-Jimmie Walker thing because I was always doing jokes. And he said, "Man, that's not relevant to the revolution. That's not what we're about here." And he was in the Marcus Garvey movement, and he was in the Back to Africa movement. That was his big deal. We got to go back to Africa. In '68, we went down to Chicago for the riots. Jane Fonda's husband was there, Abby Hoffman was there, a young Jesse Jackson was there, which is very strange. It's the first guy I ever saw my mother went, "Ooh, he's nice." I went, "Mom?" In my great book, Fabulous, I tell the story about like 8 of us went over to this guy's house. And we had Snick, we had the Black Panthers, Elaine Brown, Cleaver and his wife, Kathleen Cleaver, all these cats. We all went over there. And this little short guy, about 5'7", maybe, he was my age, but he was like maybe 180 pounds. And he came to the door and he said, "Hey man, they're trying to kill me." And I was not a movement guy. I just wanted to get on stage and do comedy. And he says, "They're trying to kill me, and I'm gonna be dead in a year." I was like, what's wrong with this guy? What's happening? And about a year later, I'm watching Dan Rather on the news, and they said, in Chicago today, Fred Hampton was shot 64 times. I said, "Oh my God, I know this guy." And he says, his wife was shot with him, and she was pregnant. He predicted, he said, "I'm gonna be dead. They're gonna kill me."